Hello, Republic of Gamers, and welcome to ROG Sidequest, our gaming podcast where we talk about anything and everything in the gaming industry. My name is Solid Jake, and I'm here with Bodacious Cowboy. That's your Twitch handle, right? Does it feel weird to hear it said aloud like that?
Yes.
It takes a little while to get used to it, but you know, it's weird. I've been called a lot of. I've had different handles over the years. I've been on this one for quite a while now, but you'll get used to it. We're here in our gaming show. We got to go by our gaming handles.
It's true.
Yeah,
I did pick that one for myself.
Very true. All right, guys, today we are talking about rhythm and fitness games, and this is a theme that we picked for the show because, well, both of us have been playing rhythm games for a long time, since at least 16 years for me, probably similar for you.
It's close to that now, as much as I hate to think about it.
And you know, they've become a little bit more accessible in recent years with VR bringing a lot of rhythm games to the forefront. But also we're in a situation in the world where people are looking for different ways to get exercise, different ways to move around, and this is a really cool way to be able to do that at home. And you know, Jeff, I'm gonna throw you straight in because you actually stream DDR or Stepmania. And you track like your heart rate, like you go all in. Let's talk a little bit about your setup and the benefits of gaming, but also exercising.
Yeah. So, to take just a step back real quick, I think I first got introduced to DDR because when I was a band geek, because music, video gaming, natural crossover. Somebody I think in my youth symphony had DDR for one of the consoles back then. They just lent us the disc and like one of those really crappy soft pads,
probably a Red Octane or something. Those things
even worse, whatever the default Konami one was.
Okay.
But that started a lifelong I don't know
passion.
I don't know what you call it. Yeah, passion basically for just that style of game. And so we had a local arcade that had a Ddr Extreme cabinet, and I spent quite a few hours stomping away over the summers at that arcade. And then we moved off to college, and again, because it's such an arcade centric experience, which is so atypical of games in the States these days. If you didn't have access to a machine, like our college had a DDR club, and that kept us going for a little while. But if you don't have access to a machine, it was really hard to keep playing.
Yeah.
And because the whole fad died out, like around 2010, all the
maybe even before that, it was around there though.
Yeah, I'm being generous. Yeah, I mean, it died. It probably was 08, 09.
Yeah.
But once that fad died out, there was this whole cottage industry of like hard dance pads and stuff like that you could buy and play with at home if you wanted like an arcade style experience. All that died out, and then it really turned into this underground trading of used gear kind of thing. But like you said, I didn't buy my setup because of the pandemic, but it turned out to be really nice because of the pandemic. We went out and looked for a set of what are called Cobalt Flux dance pads on the used market. It turned out there was a set available in Indianapolis, which is like an hour south of where I live. And we went and got them and started playing again. And I was like, this would be a fun thing to stream.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, I went all in. It's like, okay, I'm going to get a chest heart rate monitor. I'm going to put my heart rate on the stream. I'm going to get a fitness tracker. I'm going to track all my calories with it. And so it just turned into this really nice crossover of, I need to be active, but I also want to be having a fun time during. Because like traditional workouts, I hate running. I can't, just doesn't hold my attention. I don't like having headphones in.
There's nothing fun about it. Unless like the trail running can be fun if you find like if you have a nice place to run, or you can run along the beach or something that's nice. Sure. But for a lot of people don't have that. And DDR gives you a goal, a target, something you want to get better at. You can say, hey, this song, I want to get a AAA or an A or whatever in that song.
Yeah. Yeah, and the once you get into the really difficult step charts and you can do that, it's also just it's almost like a high intensity interval training workout. I'm regularly, over the course of like a minute 30-second song or 2-minute song or whatever, you're regularly pushing your heart rate up to 185, 190 beats per minute.
Wow.
So yeah, it is almost like that. So it's a great workout. It's a lot of fun. It holds my attention, which is the biggest thing. And being able to being able to share it with people, and just Twitch has been great for just people come and they're like, oh, I used to play DDR. Every time you play a Ddr Extreme song, people are like, oh, this is
The throwback.
right in the childhood.
Yeah.
Right in the childhood. So yeah, it's just really cool to reconnect with people, and there's still this community around it, even if it has greatly diminished.
So I'm actually really curious, just kind of going down this history memory lane. You mostly played DDR Extreme when you were first playing?
Yeah.
So you didn't have Max or Max 2? It was all Extreme?
Yeah, that was the cabinet I had access
okay, so
to.
that was okay.
So yeah.
I feel like
then we had all the PlayStation. We had like Extreme for the PlayStation 2 and Supernova for the PlayStation 2, but that was also when the quality of the games just started getting kind of
right. Well, so, yeah, I stopped playing those. I really only played Max 2 and Extreme. Those were like my bread and butter. I was fortunate enough to have a friend that had Cobalt Flux at his house, so we would just go and take turns, use the pad. It was like an hour drive to the nearest arcade that had, I believe it was an Extreme machine. But every time we went there, I was always impressed. I'll never forget, there was this guy, he was easily 300 pounds, and he would play, and he was so much better than me at the game. He was so good. He'd use the bar, and he would move 1,000 miles a minute. And I'll just never forget being that impressed by, this was his workout. This is what he was doing to try to lose weight. And he was sincerely very good at the game, but he could play one song, and then it was a 30-minute breather, and then he'd get back up and he'd play again. But, DDR is a very unique community where, when you're going to the arcades too, it reminds me, I have a background in fighting games where it's a local community. And it's we don't get a whole lot of LAN center activity nowadays, especially right now. But that culture of meeting people that are into the same kinds of games as you is obviously been, we have better forums and stuff like Discord and stuff like that nowadays to meet people. But as a kid, it was really cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, and there's before we had to stay at home, there's a round one. Like an hour and a half,
which is a Japanese arcade, if you guys don't know.
Yeah, it's a chain. They're expanding into the States. It's an hour and a half, like southeast of me, and it was great to just go back and all this stuff, like the way people handle like who gets to get on the machine next. Who started talking to people and
putting the quarter on to reserve your spot,
the coin line and. Yeah, and just the round one has the DDR cabinet, has a pump it up cabinet.
They do have DDR.
Yeah, there are new cabinets. There are, they're still doing it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they'd been replaced by Dance or Stardom because it's also Konami, right? So I didn't know if that was taking over.
Yeah, the round one has all three. They have Stardom, they have DDR, they have Pump It Up. So. No. It's really nice. I love being able to go down there and do that before everything went to crap. But
right. Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. So, kind of just making the comparison. Do you play Pump It Up at all? Because Pump It Up is the opposite footprint, right?
Yeah. So for the unfamiliar, so DDR is a 4-panel game. You have up, down, left, right arrows, and everything is just based on that. And there are variants there are variants to the arrows. Some of these are freeze arrows where you have to hold on a pad, or, there are mines where you actually can't be on a pad at a given time in the song. Pump It Up. But it's, the arrows are in a sort of cross configuration. Pump It Up looks like the arrow arrangement for that is like the
inverse.
I guess the markings on the 5 side of a dice. Yeah, it looks like all 4 arrows are in the corners, and then there's one pad in the center. And I haven't spent a lot of time on one, to be honest, but the addition of that 5th arrow, or that 5th button, just makes it it's a total. You,
You know,
you think you're good at these games, then you get on that thing, and even at like a middling difficulty, your brain just melts.
I don't know if it's that the fifth button makes it that much harder. I think it's that it's literally the inverse of what you're used to. And, you know,
Yeah.
I find the corner or like the arrows, like since they're
It
at a
doesn't help.
diagonal, I find them harder to look at than just like a straight
Yeah.
up and down. And I've
Exactly.
never met somebody that likes both DDR or Pump It Up. It's always like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's very polarizing.
yeah, you're either one or the other. And I don't know.
And in theory, like the Cobalt Flux pads, there's a
We can
center
mod 'em.
button for them.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even have to mod them. You just take up the center pad, and there's a block of wood under it. You take it out, and then you have a Pump It Up pad, essentially.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But it's I don't. Yeah, we talk about it being polarizing, and it's like I'm just a hardcore DDR person. I'm probably never going to get into Pump It Up. So
Fair enough. So where does Dance Rush Stardom sit for you? Because that's the new one. So this is a bit different. Let's kind of explain what it is. It's like it's a big screen on the bottom. I've never played it. I've only watched videos, and I looks super fun to me.
Yeah. So Dance Rush Stardom is kind of, I feel like that's a game where you really have to have an audience, because that is, DDR is like, when you get into the higher levels of it, it really does look incomprehensible to the average person, just like, looking on. Like the arrows on screen are impossible to follow, and it just really does look like you're flailing on the pad, right?
You typically normal game modes. There are some custom songs that are
it doesn't look like dancing. It looks like somebody on a pad flailing around. But Dance Rush Stardom is really I feel like it's a lot more about the actual swagger and movement of dancing, and it really demands an audience. But yeah, the thing about Stardom is you're not isolated to any one area of the play surface. Like, it's a big rectangle. Everything is sensitive. So you can slide your feet around on it. You can jump. You can move around, at least on that 2D surface. And it's challenging for sure. And but I haven't spent enough time on it to really say like what the elite play style is like. But yeah, it really does. It's like it closer to actual dancing. It really does demand an audience. It's a spectacle.
If you guys have never seen Dance Rush Stardom, I do highly encourage you check that out. Just Google it, watch some videos. It's really impressive to watch, especially some of these guys that live in Japan and they clearly go to the arcade like after work every day. They do some pretty crazy stuff, but it's a lot of fun. That's why I need to make my way to a round one of these days.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, we're just talking about just rhythm games, mainly DDR. DDR has a version of it called Stepmania, where it's literally just a PC port of DDR that fans have created, and then it's fully maintained by fans, and anyone can map their own songs and upload them.
Yeah.
That's what you play, right?
So Stepmania is completely unofficial. It is, and it's not really, in its default state when you download it, it does require a PC. And the reason why it's great is you can actually calibrate it, the input sync to a modern display. The thing is, if you go and pick up a PS2 now and hook it up to a modern LCD TV, the input lag will make the game unplayable. There is, the sync just doesn't work, and those games did not have any concept of an LCD and needing to offset like the time when the music played and the time of your input. So yeah, unless you have a CRT, those games are essentially unplayable now. So Stepmania is built to modern standards, and it's like, okay, well, there's going to need to be a calibration. And so you can calibrate it to like your LCD or your OLED or whatever the case may be. And so that alone is, I guess, it's not an overstatement to say like that's what's keeping things alive. You know, because there hasn't been an official console release of a DDR game in 10 years, feels like. So
Yeah, I have no
but yeah,
idea.
Stepmania is essentially just a game engine, and then everybody who's still into it, you know, makes fan-made charts to music, and you know, there's entire communities just dedicated to sharing these files around. I shouldn't. That makes it sound like it's some illicit thing. It's not.
Some shady
It's just
underground to get
yeah,
them Japanese mixes
yeah.
of
those step charts, man. Um, yeah. So, but yeah, there's just a whole community dedicated to making these step charts and sharing them around, and it's a completely organic and open thing, and that's, you know, this couldn't happen without the PC platform.
Now,
Um,
I haven't touched Stepmania in a while, and I'm looking
mhm.
forward to jumping in back soon. Do they have like high score charts and like a community with all that as well, or no?
No,
Okay.
there is no cloud aspect to it.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, if you want to have that, there is like a way to
Like
join
submit.
Konami's. Well, there is a way to join Konami's whole like global player base on the arcade cabinets now, even in the United States, which wasn't the case before.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, if you're doing it at home, it is wholly a solitary effort.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if this is still true because it's been a minute since I've played Beat Saber either, just because my VR isn't set up right now. Beat Saber
Mm-hmm.
is basically the VR rhythm game, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But there is a community
Mm-hmm.
mod for that that may have gotten shut down since Facebook bought the company that makes Beat Saber. I don't know, but it's called Beat Saver, and Beat Saver would be community made songs. You could download pretty much any song you can think of. There's a lot of fun meme songs on there, but some of the best map songs were all just community made, and they
Right.
had their own, cloud based rankings, which was really nice. You could have it just comparing your friends, or it could on your Steam friend list, or it could
Yeah.
be global rankings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Beat Saber for sure. You know, and just take a step back here, is like VR has really, in a way, brought back this genre, because until the Oculus came around, especially like the touch controllers, or you know, these hand-based systems like what the Vive has now. You can't really see that, but um, it's getting
that that Nvidia
AI
broadcast
filtered
just
out.
deleted that
Yeah,
headset.
yeah. But like when those hand controllers came back, it's like, okay, well, this opens up a whole new world of stuff, because you know, it's tracking your hands in space, and so Beat Saber came around and um, then inspired some games, which we'll also
A
talk
bunch
about
of
later.
games,
But
yeah.
yeah, uh, Beat Saber is a ton of fun. It's not. I've tracked my calories using my fitness tracker with it, and it's not as intense as DDR, unfortunately. So if you're really trying to lose weight or, you know, burn calories,
You haven't done the
um,
community made songs. I'm telling you.
no, I've not.
I'm telling you, some of the songs, because Beat Saber has, okay, so you're in virtual reality. If you've never seen it,
Yeah.
the concept is you have two lightsabers and you're slashing
Mm-hmm.
blocks at a specific angle. There's
Mm-hmm.
also barriers and bombs and obstacles that you sometimes need to duck and dodge and move around. And some of
Right.
the
Right.
truly best songs really make you weave around a lot. And
Right.
like, I think of
Right.
Rasputin as being like one of the best workouts. That song is like ridiculous. Obviously, Sandstorm is up there. It's just like a
Hmm.
fun meme. A lot of the like high energy meme songs are some of the best songs in Beat Saber.
Yeah. Yeah, I will have to check that out, because I just actually, in preparation for this show, hooked my Rift back up and you know, played one of my favorite rhythm games for VR, which is called Audio Trip. And if you have a VR headset and you haven't heard of Audio Trip, you haven't tested it out, you absolutely owe it to yourself to give it a try, because it's very similar in concept to Beat Saber. Basically, your hands are orbs, and you have to hit arrows with them. This is sort of similar to a workout game for the Oculus Quest. I forget its name, but
Hmm.
you know, you're moving your hands through space. You have to like, okay, is this visible? Okay,
Yep.
so yeah, you're moving your hands around like this, or you know, you're stretching your arms all the way out, squatting down, dodging walls, essentially like you do in Beat
Reaching down.
Saber.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah,
full
reaching
body
down.
movements.
But yeah, all the charts are done by a professional choreographer. So when you really get into it, it does actually feel, it's like, oh man, I'm like on stage dancing.
That's pretty cool.
And for someone, yeah, and for someone with no sense of rhythm or no inclination to like actually do that in public, it's actually really exhilarating.
I watched an interview where the woman who does all this choreography, she talked about them wanting to map feet as well, and
Yeah,
developing kind of like an ankle bracelet or something.
yeah,
Different technologies that might come down the road, which it seems like that's like maybe the next step for VR, to have
yeah.
something like an optional add-on for your legs.
Yeah, and the technology, the Vive trackers do exist or did exist. I haven't checked in on those in a while, but it's like you could put a Vive tracker on your foot or feet and have it check that stuff out as part of the gameplay experience. So yeah, it's like it's the curse of VR though. It's like if only 5 people have it, it's like, can you really develop for it? But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's getting bigger. I feel like the Quest 2, and we're actually
Yeah.
planning to do a podcast with a further VR discussion in the future, where we'll talk about a lot of upcoming technologies. What is holding VR back, what's good about VR. But I really do
Mhm.
think that rhythm games are one of the biggest things that have happened to VR. Beat Saber,
Mhm.
obviously, the fact that the company got bought by Facebook says something in itself, that it
Yeah.
garnered that much attention. Um,
Right.
but it's the only game I regularly would play on my Vive.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's like, aside from until Half-Life Alex came along, not to digress, but yeah, I mean, Audio Trip is definitely a game that is good enough to motivate me to get out the whole system and set it up.
That's
And
awesome.
I'm probably going to keep it out now because I've played it. It's like, oh yeah, you can lose an hour in this, and uh, there aren't a lot of songs for it. Unfortunately, there is a community choreography system, which I probably owe it to myself to check out. But yeah, I tracked an hour with that, and I think it's like, with even on regular difficulty, you end up with, I think it was over 500 calories burned estimated. So I mean, it's not super intense, but it gets your whole body moving. And so even if it's not like an absolute calorie burner like DDR on hard is, it's a really it I would say it provides a greater endorphin rush.
Well, it's way
Yeah.
more engaging. I mean, you're in VR, right?
Mhm.
You're like truly
Right. Yeah.
submerged in that world.
Right. Yeah. And you're not just moving your feet around at high speed.
True. True.
So yeah, it's really satisfying. I might include that in my regular routine going forward. So
Nice. Just to quickly sidestep and answer a question from chat. In terms of like when the new products that we announced at CS will be in stores, it's going to vary by region, and unfortunately,
Mhm.
I don't think we have any information to share here. I don't know if you know something
Yeah,
I don't know that we can share, but
contact your local representative.
yeah, soon
And
TM.
yeah, soon TM. It's always soon TM.
It shouldn't be too long, but
Mhm. But yeah, and again, this just the openness and the flexibility of the PC platform is like, oh
chat's
yeah,
asking about the chair.
uh,
So
oh yeah,
these are not for sale in the US yet. I think they will be
yeah,
eventually. This I just got this in yesterday. It's RGB, lights up
yeah,
on the
yeah.
front and the back. This guy
Oh
right
yeah.
here.
Look
Oh,
at
the
that.
green screen makes it look crazy. Has a few different modes. We're in show and tell mode now. I don't even know where the thing is. There's like a little
There's a controller for it. That
yeah.
is the ROG Chariot that we're currently looking at. Oh yeah, look at that.
The green screen does not cooperate with it because it's also like reflective. It's like a mirror,
Yeah,
and then it's got
yeah.
multiple
Oh,
layers.
that's a good angle.
Yeah,
That's
well, the
showing off.
greens look pretty weird, but
Yeah. But yeah, that is the ROG Chariot gaming chair with RGB LED lighting.
but yeah, North America in general will get it eventually, but right now,
It's just an exclusive sneak peek. You're
yeah,
certainly one of the first few people to have sat in it.
it's just
So
comparing it to like other name brand gaming chairs. I'm not gonna call them out, but the headrest and the backrest, like in this chair, the other ones have like that weird pillow that goes in the middle, and I'm always
yeah,
adjusting it. It's always falling down. I'm always fighting against it.
yeah.
I like this chair a lot. It's very comfy, but we don't have to do a chair podcast right now. We can talk about rhythm and dancing games.
Oh man, the amount I could talk about chairs that we do not make. Like office furniture is one of my extremely niche interests.
So
So,
that's
but yeah, we can't talk about
you
it.
might be the only person I know that's like, I'm really passionate about office furniture.
I am. Yeah. Ergonomics, man. Ergonomics,
Yeah,
man.
fair.
I'm betrayed by terrible elbows in RSI, so I
Ah,
have to care about it.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, to bring us back, like the openness and the flexibility of the PC platform it's just conducive to keeping these niche games going. Like I don't even think, without Stepmania, there would be no DDR aside from people with access to arcades and stuff. And there wouldn't be this fertile ground for innovation with VR. So
It's interesting
it's
to think about,
really fulfilling.
You were talking about the problem of CRTs earlier and how CRTs, A, they're not being made anymore. B, if you're trying to get a good CRT, they're actually really expensive because people collect them. And C, like a lot of old games, I mean, I can think of Smash Brothers is kind of where my roots is. I used to play Smash Brothers on the GameCube. And to play that properly, you need a CRT. So I still have a CRT for my PS2. I'm lucky, right? But when you were to if you try to run a tournament with LCDs, it just doesn't work. And that's a community where we've seen PC gaming in emulation be, kind of saving it.
Wild.
And it's got net play nowadays. Like it's pretty impressive. And that's the power of community in PC gaming, really.
Yeah, it's just, man, pesky copyright laws, man.
Oh, I know.
But that's a whole nother discussion.
Well, yeah.
But no, I mean, it's just, these things back in the day, it's like if a game didn't get made anymore officially, it was dead. It was dead.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, you have these talented developers who are willing to give their time and energy to keep this stuff alive. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just, it would not be possible without an open platform like this. So.
Man. So yeah, there's just, it's just cool where we're at right now. And, with rhythm games going into VR, with rhythm games in the form of Stepmania, that's just a USB plugin if you buy yourself a pad. There's a lot of options on PC, but we even have a coworker that plays with 2 controllers. He plays like Call of Duty on a treadmill. It's not exactly a rhythm game, but I'm like, yo, he's got a standing desk. He's got a treadmill below his standing desk, and he's got a controller in each hand. So he's got like joystick and then, every other button here. And he's like running around playing Call of Duty.
I don't know if the running is not like a VR.
No. He's got a joystick, I believe.
It's just a treadmill. But that's impressive coordination. Shout out to Zach.
Yeah,
that is skill. I could not do that, but
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a crazy thing. It's like if you just had a console. I mean, you might be able to do it, but the PC makes it like crazy control.
To be able to use 2 controllers, that's only going to be attainable, and I would imagine in a PC setting. But
just without some super dedicated hardware. So
right. Just on that concept, do you think that those omnidirectional pads will ever be a thing? Have you ever used one at a trade show?
I never got the chance, and I don't know, because again, it's one of those things where it's like if everybody could have one, everybody would start developing for one, and there would be network effects that made it useful if not mandatory to have for VR. But we're still at a stage, unfortunately, I think, where those super niche control schemes, because these things are not cheap. Like that's $1,000 you have to drop or something to get into that, on top of $1,000 for a VR system.
Pretty much,
not for the Quest, but So it's just like for super niche communities, maybe, but not as a general thing, unless there's just like this huge leap in accessibility for it, or attainability rather. So
I've always,
unfortunate but true.
Yeah, I've never tried it either. I was hoping you had, because they look really interesting to me, and on paper it sounds like a cool idea. But
right.
Well, On the other realm of fitness games, I mean, obviously there are things like Ring Fit Adventure and Wii Fitness.
Mhm.
Do you know of any good fitness games on VR that you like to play around with?
Beyond Audio Trip, there's also um, it's not a rhythm game, but there's a game called, I think, Thrill of the Fight, which is actually a really intense boxing simulator.
Okay.
And it sounds bizarre to say that, but that game will destroy you. um, I played it for an article we did last year, and I got such intense muscle soreness and like
Really?
my shoulder, yeah, my shoulders and arms, because it really does sell you on the idea that, that you're punching people or you're
Right.
punching punching bags and stuff, and you can't just like flail. You have to control your motion with the controllers, and it's super intense. It still surprises me to this day how intense that is. Um, so yeah, if you're into VR fitness and you want to give that a shot, absolutely, I would recommend that. And there are a couple others I'm going to have trouble remembering right now, but
Yeah.
there's a whole game that's specifically dedicated to the Quest that I can't remember. It's sort of like Peloton for VR fitness. It's a subscription. There's a whole workout system with it. There's a coach.
Wow.
But that's a whole nother experience you're not going to find anywhere else.
Really cool. The whole reason I did the
Mhm.
show was to get more ideas for my home
Mhm.
workout
Yeah.
routine. It's like, what else can I do? Soon I'm gonna have VR set up
Yeah.
again. Need to get in
Yeah.
shape.
No, I think Audio Trip is like, that's just a game people should have. It's that good. I will evangelize it
I
forever.
you are like set on it. I love it because chat
Yeah.
everybody's like, yay Beat Saber. I'm in the yay Beat Saber, but you're like, no,
Right.
Audio Trip. That's the way to
Yeah,
go.
and again, Beat Saber is fun, but you have to make yourself, and again, I've never played the community chart, so I don't know how like active those make you, because again, I've never done it, but I found when I was testing Beat Saber, because again, back earlier in this whole pandemic, I was like you. I was like, I'm trying to find ways to stay active at home because I can't go to a gym,
Mm,
and it's really, I despise running. And it's like, okay, well, we'll try these. And Beat Saber, I think, feels to me more like it's about fine motor control in your arms and wrists and stuff, rather than that whole body. Okay, I'm going to squat down. I'm going to lunge from side to side. Um,
there are songs that will make you
yeah,
dash from side to side on one foot,
yeah,
hitting
right.
the block and really.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, and Audio Trip is much more about that whole body. Okay, you're gonna have to squat down, or you're gonna have to like really rapidly move your arms or your body from side to side. And so yeah, I don't know. I might go back and revisit Beat Saber. You may convert me yet. But
There's also one called
yeah,
Audio Shield as well that I never
yeah,
dove into.
that was I think a breakout hit back when the Oculus and the Vive were brand new.
Okay.
Um, and there are others out there still. I was getting ads in the Oculus software for another one that I didn't get a chance to try. I forget its name now, but it's an active field of development.
Which is cool.
And
Everybody's going to
yeah,
inspire each other at that point.
hmm so yeah, and I think again, I don't know if it'll persist after the pandemic is over, but this whole trend towards um, at home fitness in general, especially with Ring Fit, like my spouse uses Ring Fit every day, and you know he's gotten huge benefits from it as far as weight loss is concerned. Like,
Mm.
and I got crazy. It's always the story of the person who picks up DDR and drops all these pounds. I lost 30 pounds last year,
Wow.
just between diet and DDR. So it does. If you can get up to that level of exertion, it does work. And just not having to travel, like the whole reason I enjoy working from home is I don't have to commute.
Oh,
I don't have
yeah.
to, so now not only do we not have to commute to work, we don't have to commute to the gym. So it's like, okay, well, that time I would have spent traveling, I can just put into more streaming, DDR. I can do more Audio Trip at home, whatever. And also I think as we get older, it's like there are more and more obligations on our time, and so being able to combine gaming and fitness into a single hour long block, like that's super super great.
That's mega value.
Yeah, yeah. So Getting old. But anyway, no, yeah, it's definitely. I'm hoping to see this stuff take off and flourish. Hopefully, even as we get out of this pandemic, and there will just be more ways to do exercise at home, and yeah,
It's exciting to think about. It's exciting to look at the future of VR, and obviously VR is very young, but what we're already seeing done with rhythm games is great. But one thing that I actually looked into was we were talking about Stardom, Dancer in Stardom. And that's a game where I'm like, I want to play that, but in order to play that, I'd need to spend way too much money to own a machine that is just not practical. Or I would need to go to a round one, and I assume they're closed. I'm not going to one either way. Not right now. And I started looking into, and it's like, okay, people have actually modded Beat Saber and made a mod called Feet Saber, where it's you have to strap the controllers to your feet, which sounds awkward as can be. And then you play with your feet, and it's people are like, well, it's kind of like Dance Rush Stardom because the floor is the board at that point.
Right.
And I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds pretty fun, but I'm just excited for the future when we have those actual ankle straps or whatever it happens to be that makes it so that VR works. Maybe it's cameras that does it. I don't know. We're gonna get there eventually, though, I think.
Right. And yeah, again, like we were talking about, community software development, but like modding is it's one of the characteristic things about PC gaming. It's like you can mod for consoles. I know it's possible in some games, but it's just like if a developer gives people the tools, there will a million mods will flourish.
Oh, we could do a whole podcast on games that were built off mods. I mean, Skyrim, World of Warcraft.
Skyrim persists to this day because of modding.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and again, it's like the community devotion and effort to keeping these things going through modding, through development, through like development of step charts, all that fun stuff. Just, it's amazing. It's just not possible anywhere else. So
glorious PC gaming. Well, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up our rhythm and fitness game discussion. But everyone, I want you to go to twitch.tv/Bodacious Cowboy and check out Jeff's setup because he has an impressive rhythm game setup. So check it out.
Okay. I will actually be streaming tonight. I think. Starting around 10 p.m. Eastern. So if you are interested in watching me flail and fail,
he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah, some difficult DDR step charts. Be sure to check it out.
Well, if you want to watch me play space games, I do a lot of space sim streaming lately, and that's actually going to be our topic next week. Where I'm going to be joined by two other guys to talk about flight sims, space sims, and that whole industry, which seems to be, there's like a ton of games. Everspace 2 just went into its early access. Like there's just so many games being developed for that. What is another niche market? We're currently going into all these niche communities, finding all the weirdest niches gaming scenes in the world. And if there's a topic you guys really want to have us jump in, talk about, let us know. Let us know. You can tweet at us. You can put it in the chat here and show off the chair one more time. Oh, it's so pretty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Jeff, it was fun.
Yeah. Always is. Thanks for having me.
Till next time. GG's.